Hello, lovely, and welcome to my channel. This is Higher Self Tarot. If you're new here, my name's Addison Taylor. I want to thank you so much for clicking on this video, giving this video a chance, and I look forward to providing a reading for you today. And if you're one of my returning subscribers or returning viewers, you know how much I love you, and I'm so happy to see you back in my home once again for another pick a card reading. Now, today's reading is going to be centered around understanding, and I may do an astrological video on this topic in the future. Let me know if it's something you'd be interested in, because with where the North Node and South Node are transiting at this time, in both tropical and in Vedic or sidereal astrology, I think a lot of what the collective is going to be working through is our feelings of understanding for one another, getting to the root of that, and getting away from the sort of finger pointing game, blame game, tribalistic stage that we've been in for a while. So on the negative end of the spectrum on this transit, we could see a lot of that, a lot of, I just don't get you, I don't want to understand your side, you don't make any sense, I don't like you because you're different from me. And on the positive side of this transit, there could be a lot of people working through that shadow aspect of their self and coming into a less judgmental view of not only themselves, but of the world around them and the people in it. So I do feel that a lot of us during this transit could be feeling a bit misunderstood by others or not accepted by others. And maybe for you, it has nothing to do with a transit. Maybe this has been your whole life existence, never feeling quite understood by anyone, and maybe even never quite understanding yourself. And so today's reading, I want it to be very therapeutic, kind of like a psychology session, let's say, where you can really feel understood. The cards that I'm going to flip through in your pile are going to tell me the story of you and hopefully make you feel like someone gets you, someone or something gets you, whether that be me or this higher power source, however you worship or whatever you consider to be God, coming through in order to speak to you and say, hey, don't worry, I've got you, I get you, I understand. All right, so make sure when I flash a picture of the piles here in a bit, don't just go straight for the image that you see. Take a few moments to really ask yourself, is this the pile that contains my story? Does this pile contain my understanding? All right. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment down below. Let everyone know what pile you chose. You can connect with other people who chose the same pile as you in that way. And my readings, hopefully can build some sort of community for the viewers here so that they don't feel so alone. All right. So I'm going to stop chit-chatting. I will see you all at your pile or piles if you feel drawn to more than one. Love you. All right, pile number one, welcome to your reading. I've already flipped over the cards just to kind of soak in your energy and get some imagery of who you are, what kind of person you are, your background, and where you don't feel quite understood in your life. Now, from the astrological die here, we have Uranus in Aries in the 11th house. Now, the 11th house is about it's kind of about the collective, people we meet online or society at large, and these larger network groups that we're a part of, whether that be schools that we attend, organizations we work at, or our online community, social media. And, Uranus, it's a planet of rebellion and kind of oddity, and it's a very progressive and kind of forward thinking, but it can do things in a way that can be quite shocking or kind of like sudden to us or others. And then Aries is all about kind of the self. What do I need to do? What do I want to do? What do I have to do in a way that doesn't compromise my own vision? So it's interesting because you all have this energy you have a very different energy that you project outwardly to the world than what's actually going on within. And I saw that initially with the card topper that you all chose. Okay, so you see the skeleton in the night with the crow on its shoulder and the moon. But the second image that came out with it is this one here. The student at school studying, I mean, just a very average, normal looking person, right? So I definitely feel for you all. First of all, I have to say there's lots of, with the Uranus in the 11th house and this card here, there's a lot of intelligence coming off of you. You guys are you're a very smart, intelligent person. But I definitely feel that from a young age, perhaps, you felt like you were odd. You felt like you were strange, that if you were to really expose your true self to others, it's not likely that it would have been accepted. And so you don't really show the world what's going on beneath the surface for you. Really what's beneath the surface is a sort of geniusness. There is some strangeness, there is some oddity here, but it's very progressive, very forward thinking. And I'm sorry that you've felt in certain points in your life that you have to carefully mask the genius that you have within for fear of not fitting in with the group. Okay, so with the intimacy card, as well as the step into the unknown, this this mask that you put on to the world just so you can get by, just so you can fit in, which first of all makes complete sense. I understand why you felt you needed to do this, but doing that has led you to feel maybe that your relationships are superficial, that because you don't feel like you're able to really give everything of yourself to others. And so intimacy has been difficult to obtain or to maintain. In fact, for a lot of you, intimacy may be a completely new concept with that step into the unknown card, where it's like you really haven't had a chance to experience that because there's a fear of being vulnerable with others due to the way you think society views you, or perhaps the way that you view yourself. And I do want you to know you're not alone in this feeling. There are a lot of us who do this, maybe not with society at large, but maybe within our family. Maybe there's certain people in our lives where we feel like we have to kind of wear that mask to get by in order to survive. It's part of our survival instincts. It's a very dangerous, and this all leads back to our primitive times, the caveman times as humans. If you didn't have a tribal unit to belong to, you were as good as dead. You had to be a part of a tribe in order to have a chance at life and to be protected and to create a family and all of these things. So that's still ingrained within us. Even though in today's society we can technically survive without a tribal unit, there's something ingrained in us that needs that connection, that needs that approval from others. And so when there's areas of ourselves that we're like, that's a little strange, I don't know if people really accept that, even if it could have to do with your religious beliefs that you hide, or your sexual identity, or even gender identity, your interests maybe go against what or other people in your life are interested in. It could be so many different things, but that's the reason that feeling is there. And you are unique. You're right in order to feel that way. That there is definitely something different about you, that's unique about you, that isn't going to be everybody's cup of tea. And so I understand you feeling this need to either escape into solitude or put on a front for others when you are interacting. Okay, so on this full moon in Cancer card, this says a personal issue reaches resolution. And then on my Mona Lisa deck, this says, I'm always pleasant socially. If I don't have something nice to say, I don't say anything at all. And so, yeah, you guys are very good at, you're quite intuitive because and intelligent. Again, I keep getting that, because you're able to see what others want from you and give that to them, even if it goes against who you really are or what you really are. And I think you learned at a young age, especially with that Cancer card, maybe from home life, you learned that the right route to take is always to just try and be pleasant. Don't rock the boat. Don't disturb anyone. Try and maintain the peace for others. I feel like the only time you really get your own way is when you're doing things purely on your own. Whether that be, listening to music, on your way to school or in the car, or, watching movies in your bedroom, or, you don't know, it's like activities of solitude are where you really feel like, finally, I can do what I want to do. I don't have to compromise. And so, of course, that may lead some of you to prefer being alone to being with other people. Because when you're alone, that's the only time you can really relax and let go and just be yourself. In reality, you are a social being. You are a being that needs social activity in reality. But right now, of course, that's not how you would feel, because you haven't yet learned how to navigate. How do I expose who I am? How do I be the real me in a way that feels comfortable and enjoyable to me? Once you learn that, I think you are going to be a much more socially interactive type of person. But I think it's good that you're spending some alone time to kind of discover who you really are, what you really stand for, what you represent, because the next step on the other side of this journey you're going through is a journey of intimacy and how to truly become intimate with other people through your own vulnerability. Okay, let me show you the astrological cards. We have Sun in Virgo, and it says health. And then we have Sun in Leo, which says fortune. And then we have Moon in Virgo, which says order. Now, so you could be a Virgo Sun or Moon, or a Leo Sun. The Sun and the Moon, which came out, those are the two planets that came out in these cards, are all about our perspective, how we are seeing things and how we are soaking things in. The Moon revolves around the Earth, and the Earth revolves around the Sun. These are both the planets that rule the daytime and the nighttime in our lives. And that's really what's coming up here. I do feel you guys have a very like a Virgo energy to me. You could be Virgos maybe in sidereal astrology or tropical. I would check both. But you definitely project this sort of like orderly, humble, simple and practical sort of image to others. When inside, there's definitely this lioness within you, this Leo energy within you that wants their own spotlight, that wants to shine in their own special way. But you know what? Leo can only shine by standing out. In order to receive that Leo sort of reception and applause that we think of when we think of Leo, like the famous singer or the actor or whatever, you have to put yourself out there. You have to stand apart from the crowd in order to be recognized in that way. So there is something in you that craves that. I think on some level you've just been kind of taught through the way that others have treated you, or the advice others have given you, that don't be too different. That's not good. Don't rock the boat. Go along to get along, type of thing. Okay, the last oracle card, and then I'll show you the tarot, is the healer. This says passion to serve others by repairing the body, mind, and spirit, and ability to help transform pain into healing. So it's interesting because we had the Sun in Virgo card, which talked about health, as well as the healer card. And then the Moon, which kind of represents mental health, and it says order. So I do feel with this card that was topping the deck that there are this kind of shell of yourself that you have been stuffing yourself into over the years. It's kind of catching up with you. You are feeling like a shell of yourself, and there's definitely some darker undercurrents to the energy in this pile. Some mental health sort of issues, depression or anxiety or apathy. It just feels like the joy has been kind of sucked out of you, because what is the joy of living if you can't really be yourself? So I feel like you are on this journey now, even as you're listening to this pick a card, of trying to figure out how to heal this. How do I find a resolution for all of this? And I hope that this card can be encouraging to you, this Cancer card that says a personal issue reaches resolution. Because for a lot of you, this inner conflict you're having could be tied up in the way a fear of how your family views you. And I do see that coming to a resolution when you begin, stepping into that unknown territory and being, brave and standing up for yourself and stepping into authenticity. I see the resolution coming only then once you start making those moves. So there's a lot of healing going on here, which I think is fantastic. Now let's look at your tarot cards. So we have the Strength card. So this is Leo energy once again. Then we have the Emperor. This is Aries energy, which remember the die you guys chose was Aries. And then we have the Nine of Wands. And notice this person's kind of like looking over their shoulder, like, great, what's coming next? I just fought a huge freaking battle and I'm exhausted and I don't have time for any more of this. That seems to be, the energy. You guys feel, it feels like you've been through a lot already. And it's taken years and years for you to kind of carefully build up this wall around you, because it almost feels like this wall didn't used to be there, and you didn't build it all at once. This was built one stick at a time, based on one interaction or one incident at a time. So it's like someone backstabbed you, so then this wand goes up, and then another person betrays you. So, okay, let me put this wand up to help protect against that, if that ever happens again. And then something else happens, so then you put another wand up, and like, it's making me feel kind of exhausted to look at that. But so yeah, you've been through a lot, and you're very smart. So that's the other thing I feel like you don't know, or you aren't as aware of as you should be. You're extremely freaking smart, and it's how you've been able to find solutions for yourself in the midst of the tragedies and the darker periods in your life. It's like you had the intelligence to say, okay, let's build this fence around me that will protect me. So very smart, and I think you've done what anyone would have done in your shoes who lived your life. This is where it would have led any one of us. So I don't want you to hold that against yourself or question, well, if I were smarter, if I were braver, if I were this or that, I wouldn't be here. I think you've done everything exactly right up to this point. And now you're entering a new amazing phase of healing and kind of reclaiming your own throne, like Leo, like the king and the queen. And with the Strength card, strength is always about our ability to harmonize with our ego instead of fighting against it, to accept it. What does my ego need from me? Let me make sure my ego is fed properly instead of abandoning my ego, starving my ego, or beating my ego into submission, because the ego is represented by the lion here. How can I be gentle and kind and sweet to my ego and give it what it needs, so that I'm not in this constant battle of survival with it, so I'm not constantly fighting against it? Maybe we can live harmoniously together. And that's what you're going to be doing, because your ego does need the attention. It does need some attention for its own uniqueness and for the ways that it can stand out amongst the sea of people. And it deserves that. It absolutely deserves that. And with the Emperor as well as this Order card here, the Moon in Virgo, this next phase of your life is about you creating order in your own mind about things, really being able to see things very clearly for the first time, to understand all sides of yourself, your shadow self, your light self, the parts of you that are from the ego, the parts of you that are from the spirit, analyzing why you took things a certain way or interpreted or perceived things a particular way, like really being a master of your own mental domain, of your mind, and really it's almost like you're going to be able to detach from your mind in such a way that when a thought comes in like, oh, I'm feeling socially anxious, I think that I'm not going to go to the party tonight. There's like this Emperor within you that's going to be able to say, okay, this is a common thing for me to think and feel when I get an invite. Now, why am I feeling this way? Is it warranted? Should I force myself to go? Should I stay? I don't know. You're going to have this adult old man in your head, basically, that's going to be kind of observing things from a distance and helping you navigate through these changes. But overall, just a very sweet energy. You guys have a very sweet and a very genius. You're like the sweet genius. That's how I describe you. Very sweet, humble energy, but this sort of erratic genius living inside of all of that that wants to come out and play, wants to come out and say hi to the world. But and I know you're going to be unveiling that part of yourself very, very soon. So best of luck with your healing, and I hope you don't feel afraid to comment down below and expand on your situation. I would love to chit chat with you down there in the comment section, and I look forward to reading for you again in the future. Okay, so until the next video, I love you. Goodbye. Hi, pile number 2, and welcome to your reading. I've already rolled your die and flipped over the cards just to kind of soak in your energy and get some imagery on your life story and your background and kind of what you come from so that we can talk about it. So on the astrological die, what came out was Saturn in Cancer in the 9th house. Now, Saturn is kind of the grandfatherly figure of the planets, and he's about rules and structure and restriction and discipline and perseverance. And Cancer is about our home and our roots and where we come from, and our mother and our father and our grandparents and just our family unit as a whole. And the 9th house is about long distance travel and kind of a higher perspective on life. So I am getting a feeling that there have been some losses, I feel like more recently, but maybe not. Maybe this spans your lifetime. Like some deaths, or maybe you're just soaking in loss through the media and things going on around you. But it's kind of shifted your perspective on the meaning of life and what life really means and represents. But you're almost in this phase of not having all of the answers to that yet. You're in this phase of, okay, I know what I thought before doesn't make sense, but I'm not really sure where I'm headed yet. And I especially see that with the card topper you all chose and the card that was underneath it. So you'll notice this is kind of an elderly woman walking off into the sunset with, I'm assuming, the ghost of her spouse, perhaps. So these could have been grandparents, for example, in your life. And then this card's underneath it, which this to me feels like you. And you'll notice when the cards are side by side, this little girl could very well be in the same forest that these people are. She's on a tree limb, and we see the tree limbs, and she's lit up. But you'll notice, what she's doing is quite risky. It even says no trespassing. We have no idea how far this falls. Her dog's looking at her kind of concerned, and she's just kind of like not really a care for where she's headed. She just feels this push to walk towards this. So I think that I definitely feel like you guys are taking some risks in your life, and perhaps other people don't understand or don't approve. Maybe you decided after some sort of traumatic event or loss or transition in your life that you were just I've got to leave my job. I've got to switch careers. I've got to move out of state. And you just kind of felt something in you. There wasn't really like an answer to why. It's just you felt it in you, this urge, and you've done it, or you're thinking about doing it. And perhaps mom is quite critical. I don't understand what you're out to prove. I don't know why you feel like you need to do this. This is such a risk, or this hurts me. There's something like that going on here. But I think you feel misunderstood in this area of your life and these changes that you're making, because no one else in your life seems to be quite this way. They haven't processed loss in a similar way. But I want you to know that I get it. I understand. You're trying to experience life. You're trying to test your limits. You're trying to find out what life is really all about. Like, get to the nitty gritty of what is this thing called life, and why am I here, and what are my talents, and what else is out there for me. Because and sort of feeling like the environment that you were born into, or the environment that you were in, it just doesn't quite fit. And yeah, you don't know why, and you don't know how, and you don't know what, and you don't know when. You just have this urge that you're following. And I think that's a really, really I think that's a great thing. I think you should be really proud of yourself for that, regardless of if other people are kind of misunderstanding it or questioning it. And I don't think you need to have an explanation for people either. So with the dating card, okay, let me show you some of the other cards. We have dating here. And then we have embrace meditation. We actually have a lot of cards that point towards dating and relationships because we also have Venus in Taurus, which says romance. And then on my Mona Lisa deck, this says, people usually find me unattractive and uninteresting. So with the Embrace Meditation card, I'm definitely feeling that I kind of feel like you guys are doing this all the time right now, actually. Because I'm noticing the orb of light around this person's head, as well as the orb of light around your inner child here. It almost feels like you're living life right now in this sort of constant meditative state. And, meditation is about disconnecting from the mind, letting go of the data, and just kind of feeling and being. And I don't know how you learn to do this or if this is just naturally a part of you, but it explains a lot of kind of why you don't have all the answers to everything right now, and you aren't meant to. You're meant to sort of be in this meditative state, spiritual ascension and growth and decision making while in this meditative state of reality. So don't be too hard on yourself for not having all the answers, because I see that this sort of phase you're in, it is going to heal this here. People usually find me unattractive and uninteresting. This core feeling within you, based on the family you grew up in or the environment you grew up in, that's at the core of why you have reacted so differently to life versus the other people in your family or other people in your life. I think that you've held back a large part of yourself. You have a lot of talents that you haven't been able to discover. You have a lot of assets and a lot of qualities in yourself that you aren't even aware of, because that just a life around you hasn't been a conducive environment for these sort of talents and assets to really come out. And that's what I think is great about you kind of taking these risks forward, connecting to something greater than life itself, something more spiritual, a higher power. You are going to discover yourself through this process and discover what it is that makes you interesting, what makes you attractive, and really like growing your confidence through this to the point that, a lot of really fun and exciting and romantic relationships can come in, because you are a romantic at heart, definitely, which I love about you. And that has a lot to do with this energy as well. The hopeless romantic is the type of person that gets on that branch that drops God knows how far, and it's just like, let's do this, let's go, let's elope, I'm gonna, I met this person overseas, I'm gonna go visit them, or whatever. You're a romantic at heart for sure. And we have the energy is gaining momentum. So this is a moon that's going to become a full moon very soon. And then we have the engineer, which this says ability to give creative energy a practical expression and talent for designing resolutions to common dilemmas. So you do have a very sort of scientific mind, but I feel like you're going to be discovering that scientific mind through a romantic pursuit of life, through a really like creative, passionate exploration of life. You're going to be soaking in like these new data and experiences and perceptions, and somehow using it in a scientific sort of way, perhaps through engineering of some sort, or architecture, or medicine and health, or I'm trying to get some other something very scientific minded or mathematical minded. Okay. That's a gift there, and you're meant to use that kind of in your career. Like, you all seem like the type of people that if I were to hand you like a necklace or something that was completely knotted up, and I'm terrible at, so I can't unknot a knotted necklace if it's really bad, but there are people in my life who have a talent for this. I can hand them the most knotted up necklace ever, and they can sit there and figure out all the knots and where everything connects and fix it for me. You seem like that type of person. You have a gift for looking at the big picture and then creating solutions towards it. But of course, how are you going to discover that gift if you haven't been able to explore the big picture of life, which is what you are doing now? And it's not reckless, okay, like other people may perceive it to be. And it's not without meaning. It's not nonsense what you're doing. It is a huge, important part of your life purpose. So keep embracing it and don't let other people shake your faith in what you're doing or bring doubts into what you're doing with your life and how you're choosing to move forward, okay? So let's look at the tarot. We have the Sun, fire energy, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. A lot of Sagittarius energy actually from this pile for sure. Then we have the Eight of Cups, the King of Pentacles, Earth energy, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, and then the Queen of Wands, which is that fire energy again. So you all could have been, you all could be like the baby of the family, you know, the youngest cousin or the youngest sibling, something like that, because I definitely get a perception, a feeling from this card that in other people's minds or in your family's minds, they would say, oh, you know, he or she was so spoiled or had everything handed to them, especially compared to the other siblings or the other people in the family. Like, why do they feel the need to keep going out for more or to leave all this cushy sort of life of theirs behind that they had here? You know, it doesn't make any sense. What they're doing makes no sense. Maybe they're just super spoiled, or like I'm feeling that sort of judgment coming from the cards. And, you know, while they may think that they have good reasoning behind those thought processes or those judgments, I can see why that has nothing to do with why you are crafting your life in the way that you want it to be crafted. It's not related. This has nothing to do with you being the youngest or the most naive or whatever it was that other people put on you. It doesn't have anything to do with that. This has to do with what gives you life, what gives you, you know, breath in your lungs. And for you, that is kind of overexerting yourself out onto the world, traveling a bit too far, taking a risk here or there, falling a couple of times. These sort of activities inject you with life, and it's what you need in order to keep pushing forward and in order to become the successful person you are meant to become, which is this perfect balance with your masculine and your feminine energies. You have this King of Pentacles side that's very focused on practicality and making money, you know, and having the big castle and the beautiful home and long-lasting relationships. And then you have the Queen of Wands, which is about, you know, fun and play and passion and, you know, up for anything new and lots of friends and parties and interactions, lots of world experiences. You have both of these energies within you that are right now, they're kind of like, I'm almost seeing both of these energies like in a washing machine with kind of hot water and everything's kind of mixing and tumbling, and somehow it's like that's the phase you're in. But of course the next step is then the dryer, and then the clothes come out and they're clean and they're ready to be worn and used. It's like these energies for you are kind of in the washing machine. Everything's kind of getting cleansed and mixed up so that it can come out to be used out in the world. And so I'm extremely proud of you guys, because this takes a lot of bravery to live life in this way. And you're going to have a really fun life because of the way that you live it. And I just hope that, you know, you don't let what other people think of what you're doing stop you, because you are following your heart. That's the most important thing in all of this and in living life, is follow that heart. You have a romantic, passionate heart. And as long as it's leading the way, you're going to be happy. And that's what matters, not what other people think about what you're doing, if that makes sense. So just keep standing strong in yourself. Keep living life in that sort of meditative state where you are just following those urges and those passions, and you are living life in a big, bold, brave way. Okay? All right. I love you so much. Thank you for allowing me to provide you with this reading. Don't be afraid to leave a comment down below if there's anything you want to expand on, anything that really resonated with you. I'd love to chit chat with you down in the comments, and I look forward to reading for you next time. All right, I love you guys. Bye. Hi, pile number 3, and welcome to your reading. Go ahead and make yourself comfortable. I've already laid out the cards so I can kind of soak in their energy and get a picture of you and where you come from and kind of your story, where you're feeling misunderstood. Now, the die that rolled out was the moon in Capricorn in the first house. And that goes really well with the card toppers here. So this one, I think, was the one right on top of your deck. This kind of man on the microphone shouting orders at everybody. And then the artist underneath it, which is this woman who is painting and kind of in her own little artistic world. So you're interesting. You have this really nice balance between this sort of earthiness and this practicality and this sort of get it done, persevere sort of attitude, as well as this deep emotional, artistic, and creative sort of energy. Maybe you have your moon in Capricorn as well. Now, with the moon in the first house in Capricorn, the moon is our emotions and kind of our mind and how we perceive and think of things and how we express our emotions. And the first house is about ourself and our identity. Who are we in the outside world? And then Capricorn is this very restrictive, dominating, fatherly, disciplinary sort of energy. So when the moon is in Capricorn, it never really feels comfortable. The moon really wants to creatively express. It wants its emotions to flow harmoniously. And Capricorn really wants to hold everything in. Like, no, let's not get caught up in the emotions. So I don't think people realize how much of a battleground your own mind and heart are in at all times. That is where I'm feeling you were most misunderstood. I don't think people really see how restrictive and hard and harsh you can be on your own emotions and your own inner world. In fact, you all are, I think, other people may view you as the type of people that maybe lash out too quickly, or I don't know, where they'll see your anger, and for them it's like, this came out of nowhere. What the heck is going on? Why is he or she always like this? Like, it's so dramatic. Because you do live life being misunderstood. Because by the time that anger comes out in you, there's already 20 other instances where you feel like you could have let out some anger, but you chose to overlook. You chose to overlook it. You chose to overlook it again. Let's not say anything again. And then like the 20th time it happens, it's like so much is built up that when you are like, okay, I can't take this anymore, I've got to address this, it can come flooding out. And then to everyone else, it's like, whoa, that was out of nowhere. What the heck? Calm down. No need to blah, 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 And you're thinking, what? Heck? I was so quiet and nice like the 30 times that this happened the first time around. Like, what do they mean this is coming out of nowhere? It's like people don't see where they hurt you. Like, I'm getting imagery of a person walking like in a crowd of people, like let's say going to a concert or something, and like people just keep bumping into you but not even noticing. They'll just bump into you and just keep going and not say anything, and you're thinking, why am I being treated like a freaking rag doll? And so then when the 10th person comes along and bumps you, maybe then you're like, hey, could you watch where you're going? And then the person's thinking, geez, it was just an accident, what's up with that person, and walks off. But you're thinking, well, they didn't see the 15 other times that this happened. It's like I feel like you feel your emotions being overlooked all the time. And this has definitely built up some anger in you, some frustration. And because I see that you've also tried several different ways to go about this, to alleviate this. You don't like it when these sorts of things happen to you either. But it's almost like every single thing you do to try to alleviate it, you haven't found a solution for it. And you are tired of the way people view you. You're tired of feeling misunderstood. And it's like you feel like if people could just live in my head for a day, they wouldn't then they would get me. Then I'd finally feel heard. Then maybe they'd be more careful. And I see that anger in 3 of these cards here, actually more than 3. But so we have full moon in Scorpio. This says it's time to release the negativity. And then we have the bully card. And this says highlights your tendency to intimidate others and helps you confront the inner fears that bully you. And it also says conceals deep fears behind verbal or physical abuse. And then we have the transform anger card. Transform anger. And then from my Mona Lisa deck, it says, my voice can't be heard. What I have to offer doesn't matter. I do hope that you have some sort of creative outlet, poetry, songwriting, journaling, baking, dance, whatever, because that's going to be, it's important for you to have to help transform some of this anger, this sadness, this frustration, because the reality is no one's going to really be able to live inside of your head, the way that you deserve. I do feel like this whole deck, kind of what I feel is like a lifetime of being frustrated and overlooked and restricted in a lot of ways. Even with this, the man on the microphone kind of shouting orders. But it's weighing you down. It's weighing you down. And I think that this anger, as much as other people may perceive it as coming out on others, you're lashing out at me, or why do you have to be so angry? The real issue, I think, is how you lash out on yourself in these moments and how restrictive you can be on yourself. Instead of worrying about how, others perceive your actions or your personality or your attitude, I think you should really let that go, leave that be. Sometimes people are just going to perceive us the way they're going to perceive us, and no amount of changing is going to alter that. That's the reality. But you can definitely change how you treat yourself. And I feel that a lot of this anger comes out on you. I don't feel like your emotions get a chance to flow properly. You don't get to live in your own head harmoniously because you're always trying to find ways to get people to understand, or you're always trying to find ways to protect yourself from the next hurt, from the next backstab, from the next, whatever. Because I see that because now it's almost like you've entered into a phase of awareness with this. Okay. I do feel like you're much more aware of everything I've been talking about than maybe you were 5-10 years ago. But where that's now put you is in this place of indecision with things. We have Venus in Libra, specifically in your relationships, maybe even in your romantic life, because now you're hyper aware of how others perceive you, which I think it's a good thing. Shadow work is a good thing, but it's not meant to paralyze us. Shadow work is for us to really look at our kind of negative aspects and traits so that we're aware of them, but that doesn't mean that we stop moving forward in our life because we're like, well, I don't want to make a move because I know I have this negative trait that tends to come out when I move forward. So I'll just stay still, because now I've decided I'm a bad person, or, whatever it is. You are in this phase of life where you're feeling very indecisive and overwhelmed because now that you've become hyper aware of, oh, this is how my actions have affected others, or I've affected others in the same way that they've affected and hurt me. I don't want to be that bad person. I don't want to be, this or that. It's made you question your ability to make decisions for fear of regret or feeling guilty. Like, what if this decision hurts someone? I don't want that. I can't take any more of that. I don't want to know that I've hurt people. So I'm just going to not do anything. And you can make decisions and move forward. Sometimes people are going to be hurt by our decisions, but sometimes they have to be made anyways, kind of like the person that's in a marriage that's just not working for them. They're not compatible with their partner anymore. Should they remain married to that person just because they don't want to hurt them with a divorce, Because in reality, if they're feeling that way about their marriage, then even staying in the marriage is still hurting that other person. More indirectly, yes. And what I mean by that is that person deserves to be married to someone that truly is compatible and fully in love with them, right? So by staying with them, even though your heart's not really in it, you're still hurting them indirectly. The right thing to do is to say, I have to get a divorce. Yes, it's going to hurt them, but that's life. Sometimes the right decision still affects other people, still rubs someone the wrong way. But that doesn't mean that that decision shouldn't be made. You guys are meant to come into a deep connection and union with someone, okay? Some of you may already have this connection. For others, it's waiting in your future. And this connection with this person, for you, it's going to feel like the first time that someone really understands your own brain and your own emotions. Like this person really is going to see right through you, and know you at your core and understand how you felt so overlooked in life, how you felt bullied by others, how others perceive you incorrectly over and over again. I feel like a really good connection there where you're not even going to have to really explain or say much for this person to get it. Now, for all of you, it may not be romantic. It may not be like a spouse type of thing. It could be a parent or a friendship, but you are meant to have that, because I do see that for so much of your life, if not all of it, you never felt understood. You are meant to receive that, okay? Let's look at the tarot cards here. We have the Knight of Pentacles. That's Earth energy, Capricorn, Taurus, Virgo. We have the Nine of Pentacles. And then we have the Eight of Wands. This is fire energy. Your solitude and your own sort of groundwork for your future is really going to be the catalyst for a lot of positive change in your life, okay? What I'm seeing is like a lot of lists, a lot of organization, a lot of, I've got to save up this much money to put a down payment on this house or this car. I'm going to pay off this debt. I'm going to purchase this furniture. I'm going to apply for this job or add this to my resume. I'm seeing a lot of like constructive, practical planning towards your future. And this is meant to be done independently, okay? Without a lot of involvement of other people. Where do you want to move? Where do you want to live? What kind of house do you want to buy? How do you want to earn your money? Because you're learning right now how to live with yourself, okay? That's been somehow that is kind of going to be the root of change and healing with all of this. Living independently without needing other people's opinions or approval, without needing to prove anything to others, but really just getting your life organized and satisfactory for you. And being happy with yourself, being very happy in those moments of kind of solitude and feeling accomplished, feeling like proud of yourself because you deserve that. Doing that for yourself, which I feel like you may have already started that process over the past year or recently, that's really going to help give you the energy and the momentum to really move forward at a fast pace in your life and not get stuck in this indecision or caught up in the anger or the restriction, but really just like swift, like quick, fast pace movement forward, feeling unstoppable. And of course, I see that connection, that very important connection coming through for you as well. So I really empathize with you guys. You've had a hard life in the sense that, I do see that your emotions, your moon energy has never really been understood by others. So keep that creative outlet or find that creative outlet for yourself and focus on some practical planning for your future. That's going to help get you out of this sort of weighed down energy of I'm angry, I feel overlooked, I feel unable to make decisions or move forward. It's going to pull you out of that and into a more like earthy, practical sort of vibe, which I see you operating very well in, that Capricorn sort of energy. So leave me a comment down below if you would like to chit chat with me down there and kind of expand on this message and what resonated for you. I would love that. And thank you so much for coming to this reading, for allowing me to provide it for you. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Okay, love you guys. Bye. Hi, Pile 4, and welcome to your reading. I've gone ahead and laid out all of the cards so I can soak in your energy and kind of get an idea of where you're coming from and some understanding of your background. The die that came out was the Sun in the 7th house in Virgo. And for a lot of you that chose this pile, kind of a big thing I'm going to be touching on is marriage, or some significant one-on-one relationships, maybe even family in some sense overall, because there's definitely some misunderstandings going on there. There's some pain here as well. And you can definitely see that with the pile topper you all chose. This is kind of the little bait. I don't know if you can see, but there's like a baby here on this tank kind of going through a war zone of sorts. The card underneath that is kind of the opposite of that energy. This is also a child, but they feel on top of the world. They feel like the world is their oyster and they're happy and excited to go out and explore. Whereas the other card is kind of this child who is very terrified of what's out there in the world and probably feels very incapable of handling themselves and protecting themselves in it. From the astrological deck, another Virgo card came out, Venus in Virgo, and it says discrimination. I'm feeling like Virgo South Node energy here. So check your natal chart, because I definitely feel that. And I think what a lot of people don't understand about you, and I think maybe that you don't even fully understand about yourself, is I'm trying to think of how to word this correctly in the right way. There's a lack of independence. There's a fear of independence from this pile, and I don't think others perceive it. I don't think others are able to understand or perceive how fearful you are of dropping the ball, or letting something slip through your fingers, or letting that, mixing up the data, something is going to fall through the holes and I need help. Like you have this sort of worryful sort of nature and energy, but also a lack of belief in yourself, because that worry and that critical nature within you comes from a place of, this is too much to handle. Like, I need help. Do you guys not see that it needs to be done this way, or something's going to go wrong? I have to have help with this, or of course it's not going to get done, or it's not going to turn out right. It's created this sort of dependency where you almost feel like, it's almost like your sense of security, okay? The way that you're able to be at ease and kind of sit back and breathe is if you know that everybody is on board with your plan of action. Because a lot of fear sets in when everyone's not on board, or when someone has kind of checked out, or and there's also this sort of belief too that it's almost like if people do check out of your plan, or they go against it, or they're not on board with it, then it really doesn't get done. It doesn't happen. It doesn't get done. And you kind of look at it, then that's when the anger kind of comes in, because it's like, I know it didn't get done. You know why? Because, you guys weren't on board with this, or you guys weren't doing this, or you guys weren't doing that. It's very complex, because what other people view as sort of like this nagging energy, and maybe this is from your spouse or your significant other, they misunderstand this energy, and they think, oh, you're just a nag, and you're bossy, and you're very critical and controlling. And they probably even think you're overconfident, right? The truth of it is you're actually living in fear. This has nothing to do with you wanting to be a nag, or you wanting to be bossy, or whatever. This has to do with fear of, what are you talking about? I'm just trying to make sure everything turns out right. I'm here just trying to help everyone. I'm here martyring myself, so that things can be okay. There's a lot of fear here that I'm seeing, and people don't see that in you, and that's where you definitely feel misunderstood. People aren't able to perceive how truly vulnerable you feel underneath everything. Underneath the surface, you feel very vulnerable, very worried. Some of you may have experienced some abusive sort of relationships, whether they be like romantic relationships, or even at work with bosses, like where you were kind of walked all over, and where your confidence was kind of chipped away at slowly. And it made you feel incapable. And so then when you were able to leave that sort of situation and venture into new jobs or new relationships, that's when this sort of whatever it is people are perceiving as critical or naggy, it comes from that. It comes from you really just being very worried about everything and trying to make sure everything turns out okay. Because at your core, you don't believe you don't believe that you yourself can make sure things are done correctly. At your core, you're like, no, if I don't have someone else on board with me, I will drop the ball on this because I'm a piece of crap. Basically, is how you feel underneath all this. You're like, I'm worthless. I'm a piece of crap. I can't accomplish anything. So the only way to make sure things get done is to know that everyone else is on board. If everyone else is here on board and I can make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to do, then everything will be okay. When truly you are much more capable than you feel that you are. But I completely understand how you have come to this point in your life because something in your past, a relationship, maybe home life, work life, it chipped away at your ego and your confidence. It eroded that completely. Let's look at some of the other cards here. We have ground yourself, is what it says at the bottom here. Nothing will come of this situation. And then we have the silver waterfall. So the silver waterfall, this goes very well with all the Virgo energy that's coming out here because the silver waterfall is kind of like that phrase, you have to find the silver lining in things. You have to look at things in a positive light so that you can calm yourself, so that you can relax yourself, so that you can chill, you guys have this very hypercritical Virgo energy that makes it difficult to do that. Things are truly much more okay than what you are perceiving them to be. And you are not a nag and you're not bossy and you're not critical, okay? You're not those things. That's where you're misunderstood. You are actually very worried. You are someone who martyrs themselves for others. You are someone who will willingly allow someone to chip away at your own ego without even bothering to take a stand for yourself. You can be very meek in a lot of ways in certain relationship dynamics. And you truly just care. You care. And you have a lack of confidence here. You have a fear here. There's underneath whatever it is other people are perceiving of you is truly like a very gentle, soft, easygoing energy. And it's a shame that not enough people get to see that side of you, especially the really significant relationships in your life. And it's sad that you don't get to see that side of yourself enough, that you don't get to see that side of you that is able to find the silver waterfall and the silver lining. So with the ground yourself card and the nothing will come of the situation, it feels like there is some sort of situation that you all have been trying to exert yourself over in order to solve, in order to fix. You've gone into like this sort of panic mode with it. The best thing you can do right now is to just step away from that. Stop trying to make a solution, or maybe it's not your job to find the solution. Maybe that's somebody else's job. Let that be their job to figure that out. And right now, just step away, find your silver waterfall, take a breath. Everything is truly going to be okay, all right? That's something else I'm feeling like I need to stress for you all. It's going to be okay. So maybe let go of whatever that is that you're trying so hard to fix or trying so hard to show someone. For a lot of you, this could be, in your marriage or during some sort of divorce where you're trying to show the kids, I'm not the one who did this or did that, or maybe you're trying to show the spouse, like, please just see it from my side. But the best thing you can do right now in that situation is to truly just pull back, okay? I can see that you're panicky about it, and I understand why you are. But the best way to solve it at this time is to just take a few steps back and just kind of breathe everything in. Okay, so on my Mona Lisa cards, 2 of them came out for you. The first one says, I'm right, and they're usually wrong. And the second one says, when I love someone, I need them to make me feel better about myself. And this is at the root of a lot of this misunderstanding, because when someone misunderstands you, you hate the way that they're viewing you because it's not true. You aren't these negative things. You know that it's truly it's just a misunderstanding. If I could just keep explaining. But the truth is, it's not your job to try and make them understand. That person has to be interested in understanding you. They have to want to understand you. That has to come from their end. And in reality, if you were like a fully confident person, which I understand why you're not, I do see some things in your past, like I said, that chipped away at you. But let's say that that didn't happen and you were a fully confident person. If that were the case, then when this person or these people were misunderstanding you, you wouldn't feel this sort of urge to kind of keep trying to explain, keep trying to fix the misunderstanding, because you would know, that they're the one misunderstanding it. They're the one viewing it wrong. Just because they view me that way does not mean I have to believe that I'm that way or accept that as truth, because it's not. And this is really on them to decide if they want to understand me. They've got to make the decision, the effort forward. They have to be interested in it. And I can't make them interested. And I'm fine. So I'm just stepping back. That's really at the root of a lot of this lack of understanding. The other people aren't really showing an interest in wanting to understand, not at this time at least. And you are having a very hard time. Like, it's very hard for you to go on living knowing that they think that about you when it's not true. You want to go and explain it. But what this is really all about is like your lack of independence, feeling independent and just fine on your own and holding your own truth and standing your own ground and being rooted in yourself instead of reaching out to other people's perceptions and other people's beliefs and other people's help or whatever it is. So we have the saboteur and the mystic here. Now the saboteur highlights your fear of self-empowerment and the changes it would bring into your life. And then on the bottom, the shadow attribute says, induces self-destructive behavior or the desire to undermine others. So, the changes of self-empowerment, how you can empower yourself in order to move forward without needing everyone else to jump on board with the plan, everyone else to go along, without feeling incapable of doing it on your own, without feeling like if they don't agree to it, if I don't keep up with them and make sure everyone's doing what they're supposed to do, then my plan can't happen. Moving away from that sort of thinking into, you know what, if they don't want to go along with my plan, whatever, I can do it on my own, and empowering yourself in that way. On the Mystic card, it says, revels in intimate union with the divine. This feels like advice to me for moving forward. The divine understands you. And the divine is going to be able to lead you into the direction that you need to go to create more peace in your life, to reestablish like that healthy ego that got chipped away at so long ago. And in order to help ground you, okay, you're moving out of a phase of low self-worth. And at the other side of this journey is a strengthening of your confidence and of your belief in yourself and an ability to now show that more vulnerable side of you that is going to be perceived in an honest way, that is not going to be misunderstood, because you are very sweet and gentle underneath whatever sort of shell is being projected outwardly. You are a martyr for others. You do give a lot, and you're not a nag. You're a warrior. You're not a nag. You're not a critic. That's not really at the core of your nature and your being. But yes, I do see that you worry, which you know that too. I don't have to tell you that. You know that too. But as you start, develop some sort of daily or weekly or monthly practice with the divine, whether that is through prayer or meditation or long walks outside or journaling, that's really going to help give you perspective and kind of chill you out, get out of your own head for a bit so you're not worrying as much. Okay, so the tarot cards we have are 3 of Cups, 10 of Swords, and the Empress. And the Empress is Venus. This is the spouse. This is the wife. This is the mom. I think the important thing to know about the Empress is, yes, she is the wife to the Emperor. And the Emperor is the one that kind of goes to work and brings home the bacon or whatever. And the Empress wants to be married to the Emperor, right? She wants him to provide for her, but she knows that she doesn't need him. There's a big difference between I want this marriage versus I need this marriage, or I can't function, I can't exist. I want people's help versus I need people's help. That's the main difference that you're going to be kind of exploring over the next few months. There's a big difference between enjoying something, wanting it, thinking it's nice to have versus I need it to survive, so I better cling tightly. Because you do have this Empress energy, and the Empress is all about abundance. The Empress doesn't worry. She lets things take their course. She's very relaxed, very earthy, very sensual, just very relaxed, and knows that she'll be taken care of. Everything's going to be okay. She's a very easygoing sort of energy that you're going to be stepping into. But yes, I do see through your relationships, maybe even friendships for some of you, there has been, some very shocking ends that tore away at your ego, or some backstabbing, or just, verbal abuse or verbal cut downs over many, many years that just kind of slowly eroded you. But I don't want you to worry too much about that, because I don't need you worrying anymore. You do that enough. Because you're stepping into this new energy of, instead of looking at the world as this sort of battleground that you've got to keep on guard with all the time, make sure all the ducks are in a row and check it 30 times, and then get on to whoever, didn't do what they were supposed to do because everything's going to fall, this sort of panic mode, into this sort of energy of the world is my oyster. I'm experiencing life. Everything's just fine. Look, I'm traveling on my own. I don't need anybody but myself. I am good. Because the most important thing is how you perceive yourself. Do you understand yourself? And I think only now are you coming into understanding with yourself. For a long time, you've taken kind of what other people have said to be truth. And that's why there's been this misunderstanding. And that's also why you kind of go into panic mode, or you get upset when someone says, no, you are X, Y, or Z, and it's something negative, let's say. Then you go into panic mode. No, I'm not X, Y, or Z. You're just not understanding. The reason you're panicked about it is because on some level, you do believe what other people say about you. Whereas now you're going to be moving into a phase of, I know what I am. I know who I am. I know what I'm not, and regardless of what other people say to me, I know what my own truth is. And if they want to think that, then whatever. If they're interested in understanding me, I'll wait for them to come and talk. Otherwise, I'm good over here doing my thing. That's kind of the cool, calm, and collected energy you're moving into. So be excited for that, because you're going to feel a huge relief once you step into this new energy. But to me, it makes complete sense. Okay, I get you. I understand you. You're not a nag. You're not, a bossy person or a critical person. You are a worrier, and you worry for everyone and everything around you because you just care too damn much, and you have a weakened ego because of the sort of verbal or physical abuse that you put up with over the years. So you know what? You could have turned out, you could have taken that verbal and physical abuse and began protecting yourself by doing the same thing to others. That happens a lot with abuse, and you didn't. Okay, so you really are a really, really good person, and I adore your energy. Okay, so I'll be thinking of you as you move forward, and you can feel free and alive once again. Okay, because you guys deserve it. Comment below and let me know how it resonated. Thank you for letting me provide this reading for you, and I look forward to seeing you in the next Pick a Card reading. Love you guys. Bye. Hi Pile 5, welcome to your reading. I've already flipped over the cards and rolled the dice just to get a feel for your energy and the story coming into this reading. And I've got to say, there's definitely a big misunderstanding of the way other people view you, or the way you feel other people are viewing you. I definitely feel, let me show you a couple things. First of all, this was your card topper, just kind of the rebel, smoking the cigarette and doing the graffiti and kind of dressed kind of wild. And this is the card that was behind it, which is sort of this very feminine, delicate, beautiful, frolicky, whimsical sort of energy here. And on the die that came out, we have Mercury in Leo in the 11th house. And the 11th house often for me brings up social media and the world at large. And Leo is about getting that spotlight and where we shine. And with Mercury there, that has to do with communicating things to others and other people's perceptions of us as well. And I feel like a lot of you, I feel like people view you all as like attention seeking. to where they don't take sometimes what you say even seriously, because they write it off as, oh, they're just trying to get attention, or it's not true, it's just for the attention. That's where you are misunderstood. And I think a lot of this could have to do with your health. There could be some things that have been going on with your health for a long time, that to you is absolutely true. Like, no, this is a legit issue. This is freaking me out. I'm scared about this. I'm worried about this. And people in your life are just like, oh, come on, like, whatever. Are you just doing this for attention? Are you just doing this because you need something? And you're like, no, has nothing to do with that. Like, I'm really freaked out by this. And that's where the frustration sets in, I think, because we have on my Mona Lisa cards, we have my immune system, bones, and joints are weak and vulnerable. And then we also have my hormones aren't stable. My lower back is my weakness. So there are definitely some health or bodily things that have worried you. Could even be mental health stuff that it seems like you have a hard time getting people to take you seriously with. Or maybe you dress a certain way or you act a certain way because that's just truly authentic to you. But instead of people perceiving it as authenticity, they perceive it as just attention seeking or trying to get that spotlight or that 15 minutes of fame kind of thing. And so that's really at the root of all of this, because I see that. But here's some things I want to talk to you about. Although you are not doing this for attention seeking purposes, whatever it is that people are misunderstanding in that way about you, and I can see that that has nothing to do with it. This stuff there are some fearful or negative things that you believe about your body or your health or something. You truly believe it. It's not for attention. This is truly what you think of yourself. And these things are actually not true. They're not true. Or maybe they are true, like let's say if it's a health thing. The health thing, obviously can't be disputed. It is what it is. But there are some ways that you think that it holds you back that it actually doesn't. Does that make sense? Like let's say like the card's talking about lower back being a weakness. And so because of that fear of, well, my lower back has issues, so I can't go camping and sleep on a blow up mattress because my lower back has issues, or I can't go jogging with my friends this week because my lower back has issues. There's a lot of things that you aren't even like attempting or like trying to live through because you genuinely have this fear of, I shouldn't do that. That's bad for me. It's like you're soaking in a little bit too much negative information in a way that it's really restricting you in your life. It's overly restricting you. Okay. So I do hope this reading can help free your mind a bit. And I hope you can listen to this with an open mind, because I do genuinely see your fear in all of this. And I do want you to know that I understand you. And I 1000% know that this is coming from a place of truth within you, this fear or this worry, this anxiety, or this belief that I can't do that. If it is true in you, you're not lying or making this up. I see that. But it's also important to let you know that you aren't as restricted as you believe yourself to be. You are holding yourself back from a lot of really amazing opportunities because you have bought into this belief, either from stuff you're reading online or hearing from other people, something like that. You're buying into it, and their advice really isn't, I don't know how to explain it. It's not, I don't want to say it's bad advice, because it could be correct for some people, but in your case, there's so much more your life could be. I guess I should put it that way. There's so much more that your life could be if you allow it. But I do see that you are deeply misunderstood. Your heart is misunderstood. Your mind is misunderstood. Your motives for why you do things are misunderstood. The truth is, you are authentically yourself, and you are the type of person that if you feel something or you think something, you just say it. That comes very naturally to you. And that has nothing to do with attention seeking. In your head, you're like, well, I'm feeling it and I'm thinking it, so why wouldn't I say it? Isn't that what we're all supposed to do? And other people who are much more restrictive with themselves are like, well, you can feel it and think it, but you've got to say it to the right people or at the right times, or some things are better left unsaid, or this or that. Your energy, you have a very free-spirited sort of energy. So you don't do things for attention, but you are extremely authentic. You're the same person in front of everybody. You don't even understand like how other people put on a mask for some people and a different mask for others. I mean, that doesn't even make sense to you. You're like, I don't even know how I would begin to do that, like fake that I'm something that I'm not. You're just like, just very pure and authentic and very you. But people perceive it the wrong way. People perceive it as, oh, this person, they post so much online because they want so much attention. And really, your head just runs a million miles an hour and you like to express yourself, which I think is very healthy. And so good for you. I like it. I wish everyone was this way. I wish we could all be this authentic. Okay, so we have Venus in Scorpio, and this says secrets, okay? And we also have take time to breathe out, disseminating moon, as well as explore your ancestry. Okay, so a few different messages here. With the secrets card, the Venus in Scorpio, and the take time to breathe out, I do feel that even though you are authentically you at all times, and that is how you should be always, you're moving into a phase in your life which is going to be shifting your values a bit. Venus, which came up here, is about our values. And it's moving into Scorpio, or in the card in the reading, okay? So I feel like this sort of, the way, I don't feel like you have noticed until recently, or maybe the past few years, how others perceive you. Like maybe it's only come up recently in conversations over the past few years that you're hearing people say things like, oh yeah, I think they're just doing that for attention. Okay, it's almost like the universe is bringing these situations to you in order to get you into this new phase of inner power. Okay, so you may be feeling particularly hurt recently because you're hearing these things, the way that other people think of you that isn't true. But these things are happening, or being brought in from the universe, because they're trying to teach you to value your privacy and how much of your own inner power can be harnessed through boundaries and privacy and restrictions of others. That just because you choose not to share something with someone doesn't make you inauthentic. Now, faking something, pretending to be someone you're not, that's inauthentic. But choosing not to, let someone in on some information because they haven't earned that right in your life, that doesn't mean you're inauthentic. That just means you have boundaries. And there's a lot of power to be had in boundaries between yourself and others. Do you really need to share everything with everyone? Or are you going to be learning how to be more selective with that? Like, you have earned the right to harbor some of my secrets. This person hasn't really earned that right. You're going to be noticing, or I think you have noticed over the past couple years, few months, how when you share the wrong thing with the wrong person, they have used it against you and maybe stabbed you a bit in the back because of it. And so due to that, you're kind of learning, oh, you know what? I'm not going to share that with just anybody. I'll share it with the right people I can trust. Okay. So, and you are going to become much more powerful throughout this phase. But I see the pain from the misunderstanding here as well, and I feel for you on that. But it's not going to take you long to move through this because you're already such an authentic person. A lot of us, we have to learn the authenticity first, and then we learn the boundaries. It's like you're starting fresh at, I'm authentically me. It is what it is. This is how I am, and I accept it. To now just kind of learning, oh, let me set a few boundaries here or there between this person or that person. So it's healthy. I think it's great for you. But along with how much information you're divulging, you're also going to be learning how much information do I want to take in from others, where it's almost like you have this sort of Piscean sort of nature about you, in that there aren't a lot of boundaries here between you and other people, to the point that a lot of the things you believe, a lot of the facts or information you have about your body or the way you should live your life comes from just a whole bunch of random places, okay? It's like an overload of information because you're the type of person that just receives, and downloads all of it, all the facts, all the information. You could be a South Node in Gemini, for example. And you're going to be learning how to be more selective about what information you choose to consider valid, what information you choose to let download into your mind or consider to be truth, okay? because that has led you to a lot of sort of unnecessary fears about your health or the body or life in general. Okay, we have the mentor card. I think I showed you this. It says passing on wisdom and refining a student's character. In the shadow attributes, it says inability to allow the student to move on to the role of master and imparting false instruction. For some of you, along with this Hierophant card, which is Taurus energy, and the Explore Your Ancestry card, this sort of false information that you have that you've been taking in that's restricted you, or that you felt has restricted you or limited you in your life in some way, it comes from, like I was saying earlier, a source that shouldn't really just be accepted and trusted as truth. And for a lot of you, it's one of your parents, someone that you look up to. Okay, you look up to this person, so you take everything they say as valid. It could just be someone online, like a teacher that you follow online, that it's like you really exalt everything that they say is truth. And it's not all true for you. Okay, so you're going to be learning how to harness your own divine masculine energy, because you feel very very feminine. Your energy feels feminine. I hope I'm explaining this correctly. We all have a masculine and a feminine side to us. For example, I have a much more masculine sort of energy overall in my personality, even though I am female. You all have a much more feminine dominant personality, and that's where this difficulty comes in with setting boundaries, because feminine energy just receives. Okay, doesn't really set boundaries, just is kind of very receptive and open to everything, and that's very you. And you're learning how to awaken this divine masculine side to you that's okay with exerting itself, setting boundaries, drawing lines in the sand, setting limitations, also believing in your ability to push forward, persevere through things, to protect. Okay, you know, Scorpio, Venus and Scorpio, secrets, privacy, that is about protection. These are all very masculine sort of traits that you will be taking on. And as far as where you are being misunderstood by others as attention seeking and yada, 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 I hope that you just don't allow that to get to you or to bother you, because you know the truth. You know that that's not what's actually going on. I do think that as you kind of cultivate some changes in your life with privacy and boundary setting and really being selective about what information you decide to take in or give out to the world, a lot of people's perceptions of you are going to change. But I don't want that to be the main encouragement or reason that you are doing this, because in reality, what people think of you doesn't really matter. It's are you happy in your own mind? Are you happy in your own head? Do you feel freedom in your life? And that's what's most important. And I see you making a lot of great changes towards that with your health, with what you believe you can accomplish, and with kind of this masculine energy that you're learning to take on. So let's look at the tarot cards real quick. I already showed you the Hierophant. This is Taurus energy. And then we have the Six of Pentacles, which this looks like that mentor here, okay? And then we have the Ace of Swords. So I do see I have a bit of advice, I guess, for you. Because you're learning how to take on this masculine energy, I do see some sort of male mentor or male or masculine sort of figure playing a prominent role in your life over the next several months as you learn this. Now, this could be, you know, a friend or a parent, or I don't know, someone you follow online. For others of you with this Explore Your Ancestry, it could be a grandparent that's passed on, a grandfather, I guess I should say, or a great-grandfather that's going to be helping you with your dominance and with your exertion and even like your vitality and your energy. I see all that going up for you. And I also see you cutting a lot of crap out of your life, a lot of information, a lot of energies, slicing through some different boundaries and things for yourself, that's going to make you a much more powerful person. This is all about cultivating power, because even though there's definitely a lot of power in being authentic, and you already have that and you own that so well. There's also a lot of power in being protective of yourself and your own energy, what you choose to believe, what information you choose to take in, what sort of secrets you choose to keep to yourself or be selective about who you are sharing it with. All of these boundaries actually healthy boundaries create freedom. in your life. I think that that is what has you caught up in this sort of cycle that you're in, because I do see you are a freedom lover. And to you, freedom is no boundaries. No boundaries anywhere, free, okay? There's some truth to that. But having zero boundaries actually leads to a lack of freedom, because then everyone and everything is allowed in your space and you have to give everything to everyone, and then you get their perceptions and their feedback of it, and it overcrowds you and it makes you feel restricted and not free anymore. So you're going to be learning how to truly capture freedom in your life, lack of limitation in your life through boundaries, okay? The power of boundaries in your information, in your relationships, all of it. But this will be really easy for you guys. You seem like a really interesting person. Like, you should definitely have your own YouTube channel, because I can tell that, I don't know, your energy is the type of person that I could like just sit and listen to you talk about nothing. If you do have a YouTube channel, let me know. I will follow you, because you're the type of person that could just sit and talk about nothing, and I would be super interested in it. You have a very unique spin on the world, and even I also have to say, you have a very unique and voice, like a voice that really captures the attention of others. You may sing, perhaps, could, with this Leo Taurus energy, but even if you don't, it's like the tone of your voice, the way that you speak your words, it's just very enthralling. So I'd love to listen to you talk for hours on end. So if you do have a YouTube channel, let me know, and I will definitely subscribe. But best of luck to you on this journey. I have full faith you'll be able to push through, and I look forward to reading for you in my next pick a card reading. Don't forget to leave me a comment down below and a like. Subscribe if you have not, and I will see you next time. Love you guys. Hi, Pile 6. Welcome to your reading. Go ahead and get yourself comfortable. I've already laid out the cards and rolled the die just to get a feel for your energy and your story and where you are misunderstood. And I can already see it very, very clearly. You all are actually you're a very spiritual person. You have a lot of emotional depth to you. You are truly the opposite of superficial. But unfortunately, you are misunderstood in the sense that a lot of people perceive you as a very shallow, superficial, vain sort of person. The die that came out was Saturn in the first house in Libra, and the first house is all about our body, and Saturn is all about where we are like very disciplined and restrictive and careful with ourselves, and Libra is about beauty and harmony and attraction to others. So I do see that you're an extremely beautiful person, and you take a lot of pride in your health and making sure that you look good and you present yourself beautifully to the world. I see that also with this card here. It has the body and the food intake and the exercise and all of that. And it's unfortunate that people look at your beauty and just assume, before they really get to know you at least, that you're just kind of a shallow person, because it's the furthest thing from the truth. The tarot cards that came out was first the Queen of Cups. This is Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces energy. She's often known as like the psychologist. She's very emotionally nurturing and very deep. And then we have the Hanged Man, which is also more water energy, and it's about spiritual enlightenment, having an interesting perspective, a spiritual perspective on things. And then we also have the Hermit, which is Virgo energy, and Virgo is associated with our health and the body. But the Hermit also represents the man that is seeking light through the darkness. He is soul searching. He's also very deep. So like, honestly, the three deepest cards that could have came out for you all. But people don't see, at least superficially, so like people on social media or at work or acquaintances, they don't see that. Their first impression is that you're just kind of a shallow, sort of superficial, vain type of person, and you're really not. Let me show you some of these other cards, and then we'll get into the meaning. So the card topper you all had was this grumpy old man on the couch who is definitely not healthy, right? He looks kind of overweight and just kind of angry and kind of lazy maybe. And that could be a part of you that's inside of yourself that's quite maybe harsh or tough or grumpy. I'm actually feeling that energy coming from like a father or a fatherly figure in your family, or some sort of energy like that growing up, especially with Saturn in the first house. This desire to, no, it doesn't even feel like a desire really. It's almost like, it's not that you have an obsession with being beautiful or looking beautiful or being vain. You don't have that. It was put on you in an early age, or indoctrinated into you in an early age from your authority figures, that there is no choice. You have to do this. You cannot leave the house without your nails being painted, or you cannot let yourself get overweight. That is not allowed. It's not okay. So it's like, where other people may look at this and think, oh, he or she just loves indulging in their beauty and making themselves look beautiful or sexy or whatever. People perceive it as that. Whereas for you, it's like, no, I was, forced to be this way from an early age. I was told that I had to be this way. This isn't an indulgence. This isn't something fun. This is something that I was disciplined to do early on. It doesn't have anything to do with superficiality. So I definitely see that. Okay, so we had a sun and a moon card come out from the astrological deck. We have sun in Aquarius, and this says idealism. And then we have moon in Cancer, which says friendship. You could have your sun in Aquarius, or your moon in Cancer, but that moon in Cancer card just confirms once again that, in your private life, because the moon represents who we are at our core, who we are in private or at home or within our mind, you're very nurturing. You have this Cancer sort of energy that really wants to deeply connect with others. You love giving advice to other people. You love comforting other people. But the outside world sees more of this sun in Aquarius, which is a very emotionally detached sort of energy, a very Saturn sort of energy, like very disciplined and very much get things done. And that's where they misunderstand, and they don't really see your depth. You're a very hardworking person. You're a very disciplined person. You're a very put together person, but that doesn't mean that you are shallow, right? And I'm wondering if, I'll keep going through the cards. I may get some other tarot cards because I'm wanting to understand why this is all being brought up. What are you wanting to fix about this? Does it truly bother you that other people perceive you this way? And is there something to it? Or I guess that's what I'm trying to understand, because you guys seem so, that could be another layer of misunderstanding there. I think it is, because I'm even perceiving your energy as like, wow, so perfect, and your life's so perfect, and you're perfect looking, and everything's so great. And so you've never had any real struggle in your life. It doesn't look like it because everything looks so perfect. I think that's another thing where people really misunderstand you. Just because you are put together doesn't mean it came easy. You have persevered through a lot. You've experienced a lot. Specifically from your younger years to who you became, the type of environment you grew up in at an early age and what you went through typically does not create you as an adult. Does that make sense? You seem so successful, so put together. It's so people would never look at you and know where you came from or what you went through. But that's almost kind of the frustration for you as well. It's almost like your gifts in life and almost become your faults. The fact that you are gifted at being put together, persevering, conquering, rising to the top, making yourself beautiful or whatever, almost becomes a fault in your eyes, because then you feel like you have no one to share your depth with, because people just right off the bat assume that it's not there. You feel like there's not room for you to even complain about your life or anything you went through, because you feel like it's going to get thrown in your face, like you don't have any right to complain. Your life's perfect. What are you talking about? Kind of energy. Almost like, supermodels. They're like the most gorgeous women in the world, right? But a lot of times supermodels are extremely insecure. They don't look in the mirror and see themselves as really beautiful. They know that the world does, right? Because they're like, obviously the world perceives it that way because I'm making my money being a supermodel. But inside, they don't feel beautiful. But then the issue is that they don't feel like they can really express that to people, because people would be like, well, gosh, you're just so ungrateful. If you think you're ugly, then you must think I look like, a piece of trash or something, So they have to keep their problems and their issues and their insecurities concealed, is what they feel like. because they don't want to be perceived as ungrateful. And that is absolutely how you all feel. And I feel for you because you have a lot of depth and you've persevered through a lot. And you know what? You have every right to complain if you need to complain, to open up to people. We have, from my healing deck, we have awaken your vulnerability. Don't be afraid to get vulnerable with others. Develop those close relationships so that you can open up to people and say, you know what, I get complimented that I'm beautiful all the time, but I feel really ugly. I'm really insecure. You know, I can't help the way I feel, or whatever it is, so that you can have those deep relationships that you want. We have the soulmates card here. Look at that. Beautiful. As well as full moon in Capricorn, and it says the end of a tough cycle approaches. You really need to have some deep relationships and friendships in your life with people that you can vent to, that you can complain to, that you can be vulnerable with, so that you do have someone that you know understands you. You deserve to feel understood, not just in a pick a card reading, but in your everyday life. You deserve that. But you have to be vulnerable in order to develop those close relationships. And with that full moon in Capricorn, the end of a tough cycle approaches. I do feel that there is a new phase coming for you that's going to pull some important people in, some soulmates, whether that be through friendships or romantic life. I don't know if the end of this phase is going to come through like graduating college or switching jobs or moving out of state or moving out of, your home, maybe moving away from mom or dad. Something is going to happen to where you do feel that you have room now to be a bit more vulnerable, to where you do feel that there are opportunities for deep connections with others, where you can show this more vulnerable side to yourself. For those of you, I feel specifically in this pile that there is one very prominent YouTuber that just so happened to come to this reading for whatever reason. So I want to thank you for being here, and you don't have to comment or anything down below. But you're going to be making some changes to your channel. And that's going to be what that end of the tough cycle is about. You're going to make some changes to your channel in such a way that people do get to see a more vulnerable side to you. You're not always projecting on your YouTube channel like this image of perfection and put togetherness, because I see that it's wearing you down, and people are going to be receptive to that. So I think you've been caught up in this sort of fear of, if I show this side, I'm just going to get a lot of hate or whatever, but it's not going to work out that way. It's going to be a really great positive move for you to do that, to show your imperfections. Okay, so the Child Eternal card, that's my one of the last cards here, and it says determination to remain young in body, mind, and spirit, and the ability to see things with fresh eyes. And that is your energy. Your desire to keep yourself healthy doesn't come from a conceited sort of way of thinking. It comes from just a genuine care for your health and your body, wanting to live a long life, wanting to have as much energy and vitality as possible. And really, people could truly learn from everything that you do in order to maintain the lifestyle you maintain. I would totally watch a how-to video or tutorial or read a blog post on kind of your techniques for keeping your life and your health as put together as you do. We could really learn from that. Okay, the last two cards here for my Mona Lisa deck. The first one says, I frequently find fault in myself. I'm not trying hard enough. And if I ignore a problem, it will go away. So yeah, this finding fault in yourself, you find so much fault in yourself that it's led to you kind of perfecting yourself, if that makes sense. And what other people would view as, wow, he or she must be so confident and everything's so put together, in your head, you're like, actually, I put myself through a lot of hell in order to maintain this image of perfection. And it's because of how imperfect I feel I am. I actually have a lot of insecurities underneath this facade that I put on, and I wish I could open up about that. And this, if I ignore a problem, it will go away. This has to do with the fact that there's been some things that you've been needing to open up about for a long time. Your insecurities, your vulnerability, showing your imperfections. And I think you've thought for a while, if I just keep ignoring it, it'll stop bugging me. The fact that I can't open up about that will stop bugging me after a while. I'll get used to it, and this is just saying, no, it's not going to get any easier. You're in a spiritual phase of growth in relation to opening up, being vulnerable. So that feeling of, I can't stand this, I've got to open up to someone, I can't keep up this image of perfection, it's only going to get heavier and heavier until finally you give in and you're like, okay, and you make that post online, or you make that YouTube video, or you open up to some colleagues, or whatever it is. It's okay. It's going to be okay. All right. Remember, the end of a tough cycle approaches. You're going to feel so much more in touch with your emotions after you do this. And you're also going to feel like people now understand your depth. People don't view me as shallow anymore, or like a person without any issues. People are going to understand. People understand my struggles finally. They offer me empathy. They view me as a full human being and not just an empty sort of vessel that's out in the world. Okay. So best of luck to you on this journey. If you do have a YouTube channel, and I would love to know if you're willing to open up about that, and I would totally subscribe, or maybe you're on Instagram or something. But yeah, best of luck to you on this journey. You are extraordinarily beautiful, but there's no shame in that, and you have a lot of depth underneath as well. And feel comfortable to open up. People will receive it really, really well. Okay. Thank you so much for letting me provide this reading for you and for coming here. And I look forward to reading for you in my next pick a card as well. So don't forget to subscribe before you head on out. If you would like to leave me a comment and expand on the message, let me know what resonated. I'd love to chit chat with you down there as well. So I love you guys, and I will see you next time.